wafting through the most romantic city on earth, a vision in paper white, lending her regal presence to France's famous Fashion Week. Her first time at the shallow shows where thin models and thick men wear stupidly expensive clothes. Paris, the city of lights, love, and now leaked luxury bills. What was supposed to be Meghan Markle's grand-style comeback in the French capital has exploded into another royal-level scandal. The receipts are out, literally, and they don't just show what she wore. They reveal who picked up the tab for her ultra-lavish stay. And let's just say the name behind that bill has people talking from all the way to Montego. This wasn't your typical PR stop or influencer gig. This was Meghan's big shot to reclaim her spot as Europe's new it girl. But when those hotel invoices hit the press, showing tens of thousands spent on penthouse suites, designer meals, and round-the-clock private security, the question everyone started asking was, one Meghan despises most, who's paying for all this? And when the truth finally came out, the internet went wild. But before diving into who really covered the cost, let's rewind for a second. Paris had been humming for weeks before Meghan's big arrival. Word spread fast. The Duchess was planning to crash Paris Fashion Week in the most dramatic way possible. Not as a quiet guest, but as the main event. Cameras were already lining up outside the world-famous hotel Plaza Atney, where the cheapest rooms start in the thousands. And the penthouse, a jaw-dropping $20,000 a night. When Meghan strutted through those glass doors in her Balenciaga coat and massive designer shades, the scene was pure chaos. Paparazzi flashes everywhere like a movie premiere. She soaked it all in, smiling like she had just reclaimed the throne of high society. One insider even whispered that she was absolutely glowing, certain this was her big "I'm back" moment. But what Meghan didn't realize was that she was walking straight into a trap of her own making. Because while everything looked polished and picture-perfect on the outside, quiet murmurs started circling behind the scenes. The hotel staff had been told to treat her like royalty. But here's the twist, not by the hotel itself. According to a source close to management, Meghan's entire stay had been booked under a corporate sponsor's name. That's right, she hadn't paid for it personally. And it wasn't Archewell footing the bill either. For a few days, everyone assumed it was just part of a partnership deal, until one infamous French gossip magazine dropped the bombshell that changed everything. The entire stay, from the penthouse suite to the sleek private car service, had been fully covered by a luxury fashion brand Meghan was reportedly trying to partner with, even though there was no official deal in place. And that brand, Balenciaga, yes, that Balenciaga, the same brand that's been skating on thin ice after a string of public controversies, now scrambling to rebuild its image by linking itself to humanitarian and socially conscious figures. But here's where things got wild. Insiders at Balenciaga denied ever agreeing to fund Meghan's glamorous Paris stay. According to company sources, Meghan had allegedly used their name to secure first-class perks and luxury access, hinting at a partnership that didn't actually exist. The second that news dropped, the internet erupted. Headlines exploded across Europe and the US. Balenciaga denies funding Meghan Markle's Paris stay. And Duchess in hot water over hotel lies. Social media lit up like New Year's Eve in Times Square. Meanwhile, Meghan, who had recently been sharing cryptic quotes on her lifestyle page, like "Truth always rises," went completely silent. Not a post, not a photo, not even a like. And that silence, it screamed louder than anything she could have said. Behind the scenes, though, it was anything but quiet. A source close to Archewell claimed Harry was furious when he learned what had happened. Apparently, he had no idea Meghan's trip hadn't been cleared by their PR team, or that she'd been using brand names to open luxury doors. He reportedly thought it was an officially approved event, maybe even a soft launch for her rumored return to the influencer spotlight. But instead, it came off as a serious misstep, one that could sink their reputation. And then came the comparisons Meghan dreaded most. Critics slammed her for doing the exact thing she claimed to have escaped, royal privilege. One commentator wrote, "She left the palace complaining about unfair funding and image control, but now she's faking sponsorships for free luxury suites. What's the difference? Brutal. By the end of the week, the backlash was impossible to ignore. French tabloids questioned whether Meghan had violated hotel policy by using a fraudulent corporate code, while American media speculated about possible ethical breaches. The story went global. British commentators smirked that the Duchess hasn't changed, and Hollywood insiders sighed, calling it another moral PR meltdown. Insiders close to Meghan said she was devastated. She allegedly broke down in tears when the truth hit the press. According to one source, Meghan truly believed that a handshake and a few friendly emails with Balenciaga's team meant there was an unspoken understanding, something that could quietly benefit both sides, but Balenciaga wasn't playing that game. The second they realized their name had been tied to the hotel, they cut her off completely. She thought she was being clever, an insider revealed, but Balenciaga made it crystal clear. They didn't authorize anything. The brand even sent a legal notice to distance itself from her entirely. It was a crushing blow, not just to Meghan's career, but to her pride. Her entire comeback plan had been built on fashion diplomacy, reinventing herself as a global humanitarian icon with high-end elegance. She wanted to be the next Amal Clooney, stylish, serious, respected. But instead, she'd become tabloid bait again, accused of freeloading and manipulation. As the scandal spread, palace insiders couldn't resist piling on. Sources whispered that Meghan's Paris trip had embarrassed the crown, confirming why she'd never be welcomed back. One aide even joked that the only royal thing about that trip was the price tag. Brutal. To make it worse, Harry's name appeared on some leaked hotel documents. Even though he wasn't in Paris, critics quickly accused him of benefiting from the same fake sponsorship perks. Suddenly, the Sussexes were back in the spotlight. For all the wrong reasons, when Meghan returned to California, things in Montecito turned icy. Neighbors claimed the couple went completely silent. No outings, no smiles. Paparazzi watching their mansion noticed curtains drawn, lights dim, security doubled. The house felt like it had emotionally shut down. Then came the darker twist. Reports suggested Meghan had been quietly blacklisted by several luxury fashion houses after the Paris incident. No brand wanted to touch her, scared of being linked to the hotel bill scandal. Her once bright reputation in high fashion had taken a devastating hit. The Duchess, who once sat front row at Dior, was suddenly persona non grata at elite events. Social media had a field day. Memes flooded timelines comparing her to that friend who always forgets her wallet. Commentators mocked her for falling from royal grace to retail disgrace. Yet under the jokes was something sadder. Meghan's polished public image was cracking wide open. Even her loyal fans started asking tough questions. If Meghan could misrepresent something as small as a hotel booking, one wrote, "What else has she exaggerated?" That question hit harder than any headline. Her Paris dream had officially turned into a Montecito nightmare. But the real twist, what came next? Because when investigators dug deeper into those luxury hotel bills, another name surfaced, one that changed everything. This is where the Paris fairy tale completely collapsed. What reporters uncovered wasn't a clerical error or PR mistake. It was something much bigger. They finally discovered who paid for Meghan Markle's lavish Paris stay. And it wasn't Balenciaga, it wasn't Archwell, and it definitely wasn't Meghan herself. It turned out the mystery benefactor wasn't a brand at all. It was a wealthy media investor from Los Angeles with deep Hollywood roots, and according to insiders, a complicated past with Meghan. His name hadn't been linked to her in years, but the receipts told a different story. Payments had been traced to an entertainment company he partly owned. The same one Meghan had allegedly pitched her Love Meghan lifestyle concept to just months before her Paris trip. Let's call him Mr. X for now. The moment his name leaked, the story exploded from a PR blunder into a full-blown scandal. Suddenly, it wasn't just about who paid for the hotel. It was about why. Why was a Hollywood investor footing the bill for a trip that was supposed to be professional? And why had Meghan made it seem like luxury brands were behind her when they clearly weren't? The optics were disastrous. Overnight, British tabloids branded her manipulative Meghan yet again, while American gossip shows went berserk with theories. Was this an innocent sponsorship gone wrong, or something far more personal? Back in Montado, the fallout was instant and fierce. Insiders claimed Harry was furious when he discovered the truth. Reportedly blindsided once again, he learned about the payments only after the media exposed them. One source told the Daily Express that he thought she'd handled everything above board. When he found out another man had paid for it, he was livid, not just embarrassed, but betrayed. According to another insider, that discovery led to one of their worst fights ever. Harry, already overwhelmed by the growing backlash, accused Meghan of dragging their names through another media circus. Meghan, in tears, allegedly insisted it wasn't what it looked like, that Mr. X was just a business contact who'd offered to help as a potential investor in her future projects. But Harry wasn't convinced. "It's the optics, Meghan," he reportedly shouted. "You said we were moving past all this." The tension between them hit breaking point. For days, they barely spoke. Meghan locked herself away, canceling meetings and staying off social media completely. Friends close to her said she felt humiliated and cornered. The Paris trip she'd believed would mark her big fashion comeback had now become a symbol of chaos, deceit, and desperation. And just when things couldn't seem worse, they did. Once the press caught wind of Mr. X's connection to Meghan, they started digging deep. Reporters unearthed a string of emails. Some leaked, others verified, proving Meghan had indeed contacted him months earlier, pitching her women's empowerment brand and discussing possible partnerships. It looked less like a coincidence and more like a coordinated ask for financial backing. And when those emails hit the tabloids, Meghan's image took another brutal hit. Critics accused her of using powerful connections to bankroll her luxury lifestyle, while even sympathetic outlets struggled to defend the optics. Overnight, the Duchess's name became synonymous with scandal, not for charity, not for humanitarian work, but for deceptive sponsorships and broken trust. Hollywood began to quietly back away. PR insiders whispered that Meghan had been radioactive since the Paris incident. One A-list stylist even told Page Six, "Brands are scared to associate with her now." The moment Balenciaga denied any involvement, everyone realized Meghan no longer had the pull she once did. That's when the emotional collapse truly began, as the fairy tale image she'd fought to preserve started to crumble in real time. Sources close to the Sussexes revealed that Meghan couldn't stop crying after realizing how deep the fallout had gone. She thought Paris would be her grand comeback, a way to reset everything. One friend told The Sun instead, it blew up in her face. She felt sabotaged by everyone, the press, the palace, even people she thought were allies. But behind the scenes, some claimed the sabotage wasn't external, it was self-inflicted. Reports swirled that her personal assistant had warned her not to use Mr. X's company name for bookings without a signed agreement. Meghan allegedly ignored the advice, and when the story broke, that staffer quietly resigned. By that point, Harry had apparently had enough. The once united couple now found themselves drifting apart publicly. They smiled and posed for charity photo ops to contain the damage, but insiders say privately, Meghan was in meltdown mode, convinced people inside their own circle were leaking against her. She was crying every night, insisting it was all one massive misunderstanding, that she was only trying to build something positive. And now they were making her out to be a liar. Meanwhile, palace courtiers were reportedly smirking behind closed doors. To them, this was proof that Meghan still operated like a Hollywood social climber. Royal aides hinted this was why reconciliation with King Charles had stalled. Again, the king, according to multiple reports, was deeply disappointed by how far the Sussexes had fallen, seeing the chaos as confirmation that distance was necessary. And as for Mr. X, he vanished from the spotlight entirely. His representatives issued a brief statement denying any personal involvement with the Duchess and claiming the payments were made in error. But by then, it was far too late. The receipts had gone viral. The damage was done, permanent, public, and impossible to reverse. Meghan's Paris trip had gone from glamour to full-blown catastrophe, the kind of PR disaster that would make even seasoned Hollywood veterans WSC. The woman who once captivated the world with poise and elegance was now being painted as manipulative, entitled, and reckless. And worst of all, even her fans were starting to lose faith online. Former supporters wrote things like, "I defended her for years, but this feels shady." If she can't even tell the truth about a hotel bill, what else has she exaggerated? Brutal, but perhaps the most heartbreaking part came straight from Montecito itself. According to reports, Meghan's tears turned into silence. She stopped taking calls, stopped stepping outside, stopped smiling for the cameras. The walls that once shielded her from criticism became her cage. And for Harry, already fighting his own public setbacks, it was another devastating reminder of how fast their world was crumbling. Friends said he told a confidant, "Every time we try to start over, something happens." It's like we're cursed. By the time the dust settled, one thing was painfully clear. Meghan's Paris dream had turned into a global embarrassment. Her reputation was in tatters, her Hollywood prospects uncertain, and her marriage under intense strain. And the worst part, those infamous hotel receipts, the ones that sparked it all, were now rumored to be in the hands of a UK documentary team. Yes, apparently they're working on a special expose about the Paris scandal and the real story behind who really funded the trip. If true, the worst might not even be over this time. There's no palace to protect her, no PR team to bury the story, and certainly no fairy tale ending in sight. Paris was supposed to be Meghan's triumphant comeback. Instead, it may have just sealed her downfall. Somewhere in Montecito, behind closed curtains and guarded smiles, the reality is sinking in. No matter how hard she tries to reinvent herself, the ghosts of her past always seem to find the receipts. If you found this shocking, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and drop your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear what you think about the Paris scandal and Meghan's shocking fallout.